just have a cup of coffee, then I'll go. Thought that I'd just drop by and let you know that I'm leaving town tomorrow. I'll cause you no more sorrow. I'll just have a cup of coffee, then I'll go. I brought the money like the lawyer said to do. It won't replace all the heartaches I've caused you. It won't take the place of loving you, I know. I'll just have a cup of coffee, then I'll go.
Welcome back to the channel, Grand Colombia. Welcome to another edition of Coffee Time Live. Should I call it a spooktacular? No, seriously. I think this pumpkin here is about as Halloweeny as I'm going to get. Dennis, good morning. Yuka, greetings from Helsinki. And I saw just before I sat down to get this thing going that you sent a contribution through the website. I appreciate it. You've been there every week lately, so I want to thank you for that. Audio, video, good. Thank you. I appreciate that feedback because as you regulars know, we never know. Waleed, hello. Mike, good morning from Armenia. You're all moved and settled in now? LL, buenos dias. Also in Armenia. I tell you, this gringo population is growing here by leaps and bounds. What the heck is going on here? I got windows popping up all over the place. Okay, William. Yet another gringo in Armenia. And Sabine, good morning from McLaren, Texas. Okay, so it was a pretty busy week, but not a lot new about that. First, I want to thank actually all the supporters of this channel, the contributions. I really appreciate it. I was looking yesterday. I was kind of trying to balance the books because, you know, we lost the YouTube income that was kind of subsidizing some of this. And we're almost up to the point where we've made up ground on that. And so that's pretty awesome. And I want to give a special shout out to Rick Lomondo for something yesterday. And I thank you. Oh my God, these yellow warning signs. I'm sitting here sending out a really strong stream with no drop frames. CPU is barely, well, I'm running at 25%. And I'm still getting this YouTube yellow banner. I tell you just can't win. I maybe because I mentioned the YouTube dropped they cut my throat on the funds, and so, oop, there goes the banner. I don't know. Keith in Cali, in hot muggy Cali. Rick Lomondo, new to the show. Yeah, you're the guy. So shout out to you. I want to thank you. I appreciate it. So this week I did get to the hacienda, and that banner's still up. It says that you're getting a bad, it says you're getting a bad picture. You're not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's perfect on this end. So I went to the hacienda, saw the horsies. I posted up some little things here and there on the Adventure to Grand Colombia Facebook page. Grooming, a few freezes a moment ago, but video is good. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. I can tell you it's not. I know for sure it's not here. When I was having all those problems, I set up so that I can read all the stats live of what's going on and what gets uploaded. And we're uploading right now at, it's right around 200 megabytes per second, which is pretty damn good. John, hello, Lawrence. Lauren, how do you ship a package to Ecuador? My friend says it's easier to go through Colombia. Is that true? No. Also, I can see you after, can't go live, but I see 26 people follow you on YouTube. You mean on my personal channel? Because I've got, I don't know, thousands on this channel. But no, it's cheap and easy to ship to Colombia, but then getting it into Ecuador is problematic. I don't even think the border, the land border is open yet. But even if it is, it's problematic when you get to the border. No, you're in Ecuador. It's just, that's part of the life you have to live in Ecuador. We're really not to the questions. I'm going to cover my topics first, but that one jumped up at me. No, you either get it muled in by somebody else or just get it sent to you. Stream is fine. One freeze a nanosecond. William, where have you been? Haven't seen you since I got thrown out of... You guys got thrown out of Beluda, huh? Okay, don't ruin it for me. Good morning. Happy Halloween. West Palm Bay. Robert, where are you? You're usually the first one. You haven't even chimed in yet. Okay, so let me get to the Source Ranch. Talk amongst yourselves. Then we'll get to the questions after I cover my couple little topics here. Okay, I had a great time. The owner of the place his name is Nelson Ramirez. And I was invited out to do a video. So I guess you could almost say it's sponsored, but it's not really sponsored. I'm not being paid for it. But I didn't have to pay the package to go there and do it. So it's a little disclaimer. But the thing is, I felt pretty comfortable doing it because I wanted to do this and some other things that are coming up anyway. I'd be doing them anyway. And so I'll be straight with you. And something did happen. No fault of theirs, but something did happen that affected me. But you're going to have to wait for the video for that. And there's tons of clips. I must have 50 clips. So it's going to take me a while to edit it. It's probably going to be a week before that thing is out. But I think it's good. I think it's interesting. I did take a few snippets. And I think this is about 3 minutes long. This isn't the video. It's a couple things I was playing around with. The intro, which I have no idea if it's anything I'm actually going to use. But take a look at this. And here's my button.
right before your eyes. Step by step, you're on your way. Welcome to a brighter day. Don't you know it feels good to be alive? You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You could have all you ever wanted, shoot the moon and reach for Mars. You know you could. Yeah, and times are changing everywhere. Do we dream and do we dare? It's up to you, the door is open wide. Feel the rhythm of today, learn the part and join the play. The world is here, let's take it for a ride. You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You could have all you ever wanted, shoot the moon and reach for Mars. You know you could. Larger, larger than, bigger, bigger than, living hopes and dreams. Every boy and girl, higher, higher than, brighter, brighter than, all you wanted. You know, you could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You can have all you ever wanted. Hopes and dreams, every boy. You can fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You can have all you ever wanted. You know you could.
So, went with 3 people. One had never ridden before. Another one had never ridden before. Third one had ridden once before at Salento. And, I've ridden, I mean, I grew up with horses. It was no big deal. So we get there and, Rob, good morning. So it was interesting. So Natalie was there. She did fine. Something did. I'm dying to tell you, but I can't tell that story. I gotta save it for the video. You have to make something interesting in the video. But this place was huge. You'll get a sense of it in the video. At the point where you saw that we had stopped to have a snack, and then lunch came. Yeah, actually later. We had already ridden about 2.5 hours. And that's why you see the one girl going up the hill was kind of wobbling. You know, if you're not used to riding a horse, it can, you kind of get off bow-legged and walk funny. And it was kind of humorous. But to get a sense of the size of this place, it's 1,600 hectares. Now, if you've ever been to Disney World and you've been to Epcot, Epcot's real big. It's got all those countries, and it's got that little lake there, and it's got all the other things that on this side of the lake. It's pretty big. That's only 121 hectares. This ranch is 6 square miles. That's huge. Like I said, we rode for 2.5 hours, and we barely covered it. And if you notice in those pictures, everything looks so groomed. It's because it is. And all those little clumps of look like trees or bushes, those are orange trees. Huge market is oranges for them. And they send them to the United States. And when I left, they gave me this big bag. It must be probably a 20-pound, 25-pound bag of their oranges. And they wait until their oranges are ripe, unlike a lot of people around here. And these are the sweetest, most delicious oranges. I've been loving the orange juice. The package, they can tailor the package, but they've got a couple, ones with lunch, ones without lunch. You can make the ride as long or as short as you want. And with lunch, it's 180,000, plus transportation to get there. It makes for a hell of a good day. But more than that, and again, this will be in the video, their house is just amazing. They got a lap pool and a sauna, and they're overlooking. They're actually right near Buena Vista, and they've got that same view overlooking. I mean, you can see all the way to Armenia and all over the place. And in their front yard of their house, they have this humongous tree that looks like hundreds of trees grown together. And it's a rubber plant. It's 150 years old. It's pretty amazing. Now, this family, I asked how long they'd been there, because the place, when you're there, I was there walking around, just kind of nosing into things while everybody else was out by the horses. And it just seems so well established. I'm thinking these people have been here forever. Well, they got it 75 years ago in the family, and it's the third. Actually, we're getting ready for the fourth generation of family here. So it's an amazing place, but it's not atypical. It's the backbone of Colombia, places like this. And if you ever get a chance, you might want to check it out. Okay, looking forward to getting that video done for you. I had somebody ask me about tamales, and I heard they're different in Colombia. Well, every country has their version. Like in Ecuador, you've got your run-of-the-mill tamales, but they're really big on these sweet ones, almost like dessert tamales. Mexico has their things. You're probably used to those. And here in Colombia, they are different. They tend to be way bigger, and they kind of throw the typical tamale has a chicken drumstick and a hard-boiled egg and a hunk of beef and a hunk of pork with some vegetables, and it's all packed in. But I ordered up a couple, not big ones. These are actually small ones, just so you can take a look. And it's really because one person in particular asked me, so I decided to do a clip. It's not very long. Here you go. Now, that may look like dog food. It doesn't really look that appetizing, but I can tell you the smells from it. They're really delicious. I showed the two different kinds. The one is kind of unique to Colombia, as far as I know. I haven't seen it anywhere else, and it's the one with the rice. And usually have pork in it. This one in particular, I ordered with chicken. But the rice kind of blended in with the masa. That's that cornmeal outer shell. It kind of blends in. It cooks in steam, so it just kind of falls away. But all the flavors just kind of blend. They're really quite good, and I actually prefer those. And I believe, although I won't swear to it, I think these originated near Ibagué, that style. I have reason to think that's true, but I could be all wet. Okay, did I miss anything else here? I got it. I think that's it. Okay, so you have a pretty cool video to look forward to. Let me look over these and I'll take messages if you, or messages. Yeah, I'm an answering machine today. If you have any questions, shoot them out there. Mike, I'm still in jail waiting for the bail money you promised. Mm-hmm. Yuka, I had hiccup donating. Let me know if there's something I should know about. Rob, good morning. You're late. William, haven't received it yet. Gave it to the guy outside the gate. Had a red jumpsuit. So yeah, you guys are just hilarious. John, good morning from Trenton. Freebird, what's happening with prices in Colombia? Inflation. Yeah, it's still not crazy, but yeah, I mean, it hasn't changed. It bumped up a few months ago, and it's been kind of there. Like eggs are almost double, at least 1.5 times the price. Gasoline hasn't gone up very much, a couple hundred pesos. So what's that? 60 cents? No, 6 cents. 6 cents. Gasoline hasn't gone up very much at all. Why is YouTube pissed at you? It's not me in particular. I did a video on this and we've talked about it. They're trying to run, unless you're a big corporation, they don't want you on YouTube. They've changed the whole point of their platform, and they're just running everybody off. They actually conjured up a reason to delete me. The thing is, you can't do anything about it. And so if they decide it's over, and their reason was actually ludicrous. It was an impossibility, but it doesn't matter. They're going to do what they're going to do. And so I still can put videos up and they'll still advertise on it. They're just keeping all the money. They were already taking 40% of advertising revenue, but now they take 100% of it. So they let me run videos. They still run ads. They just keep all the money and don't send anything to me. So from now until the rest of my life, because that's how their rules are, if you're canceled, if your financial account is canceled, you can never reopen one. Natalie, good morning. Do you notice an increased amount of women in Armenia? No. No, not really. That's an interesting comment. An increased amount of women. No, it's. You sure that's not wishful thinking? I thought you had a girlfriend. You know, it's like why are you noticing? These buses dropping, full of all these beautiful women that they're dropping off at the terminal, and they're spreading out all over the city. No. Okay, so I hope I answered that inflation. I think I did. Is there inflation here? Yeah, some. It's not a huge issue yet. It's certainly nothing to the extent that they have in the USA. I mean, it's not even close to that. Most of the things you don't even notice, or there's actually a lot of things that haven't changed. Cost-wise, Cali seems about 25% more than Armenia. I don't know if that may depend on where you are and what you're doing. It does tend to be a little more. And I haven't been there in a while, in 2 years. So, I mean, maybe. I know Medellin is probably about 40% or more, depending on what. Rents are through the roof in Medellin as compared to here. But Armenia has some of the best prices in all of Colombia. My girlfriend dumped me. Well, that's what you get for noticing all the girls in Armenia. You know, what do you expect? Other than Atlantis and Soho, are there any other new building developments to look out for? Well, Atlantis isn't new. Atlantis has been there for years. And Atlantis, I wasn't when I did those, I wasn't promoting that building at all. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't live there because if you think about it, as you're facing south, on the right side of that building is the second, maybe even the busiest road in Armenia. And then there's another road because it's kind of a wedge shape. There's another road on the left side of it. So on both sides you've got highways and it's a building full of glass. You know it's going to be noisy in that building. I don't think you can escape it, and that would be, kind of problematic for me. So, it's just that it's, people talk about it. It's kind of a landmark. It's been there for a while. As far as building developments, they're everywhere. They're all over the place. I'm partial to Horeb, Horeb, but there's a lot of gorgeous ones. I love living in 360. They used me and dumped me. Well, they can't use you unless you're volunteering something. Okay. Any other questions? Or is this going to be an early Halloween football Sunday? Anyone? Anyone? Where do you think is the best place to live, Armenia or Manizales? Now, regulars are going to groan and say, oh my God, this one again. I talk about this so many times. It depends. It depends on what you like, what you're after. Armenia, I prefer it. That's why I live here. I have my choice. I lived in Manizales. I prefer living here. Manizales is a superior city to Armenia. It's one of the best cities I've ever been in. I don't even like cities. There's just a lot to be said for Manizales. So what I would say is spend time in both, and don't hurry. Go get an Airbnb in Manizales for a month, get one here for a month, and make your decision that way. My Australian boyfriend dumped me for chasing all Armenian boys. Okay. Freebird. I gotta get these new glasses. Sabaneta, pretty much the same cost of living as Medellin. Well, yeah, actually, it's kind of. I mean, it's not like you're far away from Medellin. It's kind of like the outskirts of Medellin, and it depends. I mean, where in Medellin? If you're talking Poblado, that's considerably more expensive than other places. So, it depends. But the prices and rents have been going up there because there's just so many foreigners in Medellin. You can't compare it to the rest of Colombia, really. And prices are just going to be higher there than most of the rest of Colombia, with the exception maybe Bogota. But Sabaneta, yeah, well, it's a little cheaper than Lorales or Poblado as far as rents go, but everything else is going to be pretty similar. Any other questions? Yeah, again, Medellin, great place to visit. Highly recommend it. But I mean, there's just way too many sexpats there, and it's just changed the nature of all of it. According to Numio, it's the same cost of living in Armenia. But yeah, you have to take that with a grain of salt. I mean, no one's doing any research on that. It's people that just voluntarily put information in, and you have no idea if they're putting in correct information. And it depends. I mean, if you're talking about going to a tienda and getting one bottle of beer, that bottle of beer is probably going to be similar priced all across Colombia. So it depends. Gasoline is going to be similarly priced throughout Colombia. Rents will vary a lot. So some things will vary, some things, won't vary that much. And in Numio, for example, or let's say somebody goes in and puts in two or three things like the cost of a hamburger, cost of a beer, whatever. But he goes to a place that's twice the price as another place that he could have gone to, because that exists everywhere. Here in Armenia, everywhere you can go to a place that's, it's going to be lots of ambiance, and you're going to pay for that. So you really can't, you can't take those things as gospel. Is there any downfall in owning property in Colombia? It's safe to own property. I would say the biggest downfall is people tend to overpay, and it can be very difficult to turn around and sell it, especially if you overpaid. I'd say that was a downfall. Certainly better than in Ecuador, where you can buy property and somebody can come along 2 years later and put a claim on it. They have a terrible system there, and you can buy and live in a property for 10 years and still not be completely convinced that it's yours. They don't have that issue here. There's a great tennis facility, clay courts in Manizales. That's everywhere. That's here too. If you go to Bolo's Club, they've got something like 8 clay tennis courts. I did a video at the golf club, and they've got clay tennis courts. I mean, that's what they have in Colombia is clay courts. So that's pretty much everywhere. That's easy. When we getting together with the rest of the gringos to form our club? Well, I won't be part of that, but I tried to, there's 1, 2, 3, there were 3 or 4 here. I think 3 are living here and 1 kind of passing through. And I was asked by a couple, maybe we can all get together or something. So I tried 2 different times to get people together to do things, including this trip to the horse ranch. And nobody could do it. And I understand people are busy. I'm not slamming them. It's just that I'm not here for that. And so you guys are going to have to take it on yourself. I made sure that you had connection to each other. I'm not a social person. And so, I was trying to grease the wheels for you guys, but you're all busy. I'm busy. And that isn't anything I'm really interested in for myself. So you're just going to have to do it. What was the response to the big drug lord they busted 10 days ago? I didn't really hear a lot of response except awesome, cool. People are happy that, people don't want that in their country, and they certainly don't want it coming back. But Mexico is putting so much effort into, having operations here. It's a difficult thing. As a future expat, where would you suggest to visit for the first time in Colombia? We'll be going for 3 weeks. Well, I'm biased, but Medellin is worth seeing. It's worth a weekend. I don't like I don't like most of Colombia as far as living there, but I love this coffee region. They call it the Coffee Triangle, but it's actually made up of 4 cities in 4 departments or states. And this region is, I mean, my favorite place, Armenia, is here. My second favorite place is Manizales. And for anybody else, you could probably reverse that. Some people like Pereira, God knows why. Ibagué, I mean, interesting place, a little warm, but interesting place. Bucaramanga is up there on my list. There's a lot of history in that area and a lot of beautiful terrain, and it's an amazing city, the wealthiest city in Colombia. He's mentioned Medellin. Cartagena, if you want to go and look at the Spanish fort, so if you're really into beaches, but I wouldn't even go for the beach because you can go to oh my God, the island, San Andreas. Whew. San Andreas Island is, they got beaches and it's an amazing time. I spent 10 days there on one of those 10-day inclusive passes, and it was amazing. I wish I would have made it to Manizales this trip. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody should check out Manizales, because as much as I love Armenia, I know that a lot of people would probably prefer Manizales. There's a lot about Armenia that is more in line with my own personality than what most people would find. I mean, everybody likes Armenia. They come here, people can love it. But I think for more people, Manizales is probably a better fit. And so I'm always recommending people, go to Manizales, check it out. You may be happier there. My friend in Armenia says people are stealing a lot more than before. I don't really know what she's referring to, robberies. What's your opinion? No, not really. You would think so. But we don't have any kind of crime spree. I mean, we still have petty crime, but it's not like more than usual. There may be, as I've mentioned, there's 4 barrios that I won't go into unless I'm driving through, that are just dangerous in and of themselves. And, what's going on there, possibly, I don't know. But through much of the south and through all the north, it's pretty normal. I have friends that live in the south. I have friends that live in the north, and nobody's had any unusual experiences. But I will say, in Medellin, there's been a definite spike in crime, mostly because it's more noticeable. They're like it used to be. They would not go into Poblado, and now Lorales, Poblado, it's kind of a regular thing, especially the motorcycle thieves. Not stealing motorcycles, but one will ride on the back of a motorcycle, jump off, rob somebody, get on the bike, and take off. We're not really having those issues here. Just returned to Oregon from Cali yesterday. Weather was actually very nice last week, cool and a little wet. Had a great time with my girlfriend. We'll move there in 9 months or so. Yeah, it's been pointed out to me a couple times. People say, well, I went to Cali and it wasn't as hot as you say. And no place is the same all the time. There's variations. And what you say, I absolutely believe you. I've been to Cali when it wasn't unbearable unbearably hot. It's just that most of the time through most of the year, it's really hot. The air kind of hangs there. Um, and again, some of that depends on where you are in Cali, but I just don't find it very comfortable for me on an ongoing basis. Now, uh, you can have you could have a month of decent weather there, but if you're living there, you know, 10% of the time it's bearable isn't good odds. But yeah, I won't disagree with what you're saying because what you're saying is true. It's just unfortunately, it's I just don't like things that are really hot. Whoops. Medellin is increased in crime. My friend is streetwise. She lives there, had her phone, her life ripped out of her hands. It's on the increase. There she says. Yeah, I've heard it from enough sources to believe that's the case. Um, the problem with the problem with crime, you know, like here in Armenia, if let's say you're a Colombian, you live here in Armenia, and you know your life is going on, it's just kind of normal, everything's cool, and then all of a sudden a friend of yours has their cell phone stolen. Well, from your perspective, crime has increased. It doesn't mean it's actually increased, but it's a perception, and I think it's hard to separate the perception versus the reality. Um, but I don't know. It's pretty cool here. Cali is pretty cool. I stayed in San Antonio area. Yeah, too humid. Yeah, and when the heat starts getting cranked up, along with that humidity, I mean that's just it's just not comfortable for me. I'm not looking forward to the heat. We'll definitely get AC. Yeah, well, that's one way around it. But see, one of the things that I love about living in a place like here, Manizales, for example, is day or night. You can go out and just walk around. Now, I don't go out in the early to mid afternoon because it's just kind of direct sun. And I say that for anywhere in Colombia, anywhere near the equator, it's just not wise. But that aside, the temperature here is always bearable. It's always livable. I mean, the hottest it gets is like in the low 80s, but it usually runs somewhere in mid to upper 70s. And unless you're out in direct sunlight in the afternoon, it's pretty comfortable here. You can get out, walk around, and you're not dying. Now you live in a place like Cartagena or Santa Marta or Cali, where it's just hot and muggy. And the thing is, for me, it's like it sucks the energy out of you, and you go out and you walk a little bit, and you're starting to sweat, and it's just you find yourself more inclined to not be out and do things, and more inclined to stay in with the AC. And I don't know what then you're losing some of the advantage of what life can be here. But you know, it's how it is. Um, I've been to Cali 4 times, my least favorite city. Yeah, I kind of feel that way. I've been there dozens of times, and it doesn't get better, believe me. The girlfriend lives there. The location is set. She's well worth it. Yeah, and maybe you can even convince her to, you know, move to someplace nice. Probably not, you know, family and all of that. Medellin has great weather. Yeah, it's pretty good. Not as predictable as here, but similar weather, actually. Cartagena, very similar to Miami. Yeah, I agree with you. And I haven't been there a million times. And so when I tell you, you know, you go to a place for a window, doesn't mean it's like that all the time. But my ex-wife had relatives there and they were always talking, and they're Colombian. They were from Medellin, but they had moved there and they lived there for a number of years. But you couldn't have a conversation with them without them complaining about how hot and muggy it was there. I believe the last time I was there, it must have been like 102, 103 degrees and humid. I mean, that's like Philippines weather. There's not high crime in Armenia. The place is a paradise, and I love it. Yeah, especially if you're living in the north. It's, you can't say it's crime free, but it's about as close. I think for a small city, it's probably about as close as crime free as is humanly possible. That's why I left Miami for North Carolina. Yeah, I lived in North Carolina for a while too, but I would say, depending on where you are, I mean, unless you're on the coast, at least it's not as humid most of the time. I lived in Hickory for a while, and that was pretty nice, actually, kind of at the foot of the mountains. And then I lived in Durham, kind of the armpit of the state. But, okay. Oh, I lived in Jacksonville, North Carolina, some time ago. It was just hot and muggy. And I will say, you can get used to it. I mean, I lived in the Philippines for a while, and I got used to it for the most part. But it's just, I just like being a place where I just never feel too hot or too cold. I just like that. Yes, Cartagena is a place to go for 3 or 4 days. Yeah, I highly recommend it. To visit. If nothing else, is because I love history, and that fort was fascinating. I mean, seeing these walls that are just unbelievably thick, you can see why and how it held out. The various assaults that were made upon it, and I find those things interesting. But when that's gone, I'm ready to leave. I don't mean gone like disappear, but when I've already got my fill of that, now get me out of here. I was in Medellin last month, didn't need AC one time. Yeah, like I said, the weather's similar to here. And it's like that most of the time. It'll get a little warm once in a while, but not too much. Where in the Philippines did you live for how long? It wasn't very long. I was there for about a month. And it was near Subic Bay. I was in the Marine Corps. It wasn't Subic Bay, but it was near it. I was there on a 4-helicopter detachment. We were there to support recon rangers, and we would. Oh, there was another month I was there too. I went through a month survival training in the Philippines. I think I tried to put that out of my mind, but that was another time. But when I was actually kind of living there, like free at night and going into the town and things like that. I had a bunch of dental work done. X-rays, cleaning, extraction, 2 root canals, 2 crowns for about $600. Excellent care, might be $4,000 in the USA. Yeah, I mean it's kind of known for medical, dental, particularly here in Armenia actually, but in Colombia in general. Here in Armenia, I go out just for exercise, but you can practically get anything you want by ordered from your house, including girlfriends. Yeah, there's home delivery for everything. That's true. Can't beat Colombia for dental work. I don't think it matters where you're from. It's hard to beat the weather here in Armenia. Yeah, I mean, it is. Now, when we get those days, it's a handful of times a year where it gets up into the 82, 83. I think, the high temperature here is mid 80s. it's either 83 or 84. It's like the record high. Um, yeah, it's like, yeah, yeah. But the thing is, you get a day like that, and then tomorrow it's back to normal. Although a couple years ago, we had a spell that went on for 2 or 3 weeks like that. Everybody here was talking about, the heat wave, and it was like 82, 83 degrees at its highest point. But I don't know, it just yeah, it just wasn't great. But you're going to get that. No, it's not like there's some thermostat for the city where you can kind of set it at 75 degrees and it's like that all the time. You're going to get some variation, but for the most part, I mean, to have it run between low 70s to low 80s at its extremes, not counting night. At night, it can drop down to 50s, but you have a narrow window, and that's why people here they seem to be much more affected by temperature changes. It's like if you're from upstate New York, you go through temperature changes that swing 130 degrees one way or the other. We'll go from 20 below to 105 in the summer. It's that kind of range. And here you get this narrow band instead of 120 degrees or 130 degree swing. You've got this narrow band of basically about 10 degrees, 15 if you include the night. And so here it can change a degree or two, and people here are sensitive to it. For me, I couldn't tell you if it's 73 or 78. It feels the same to me. It's not until it gets up into the 80s that, it starts feeling a little warm. I'll never leave Armenia. The longer I stay, the more addictive this place is. Armenia becomes an addiction. I can't argue with that. I love it here. Do you own or rent? He rents. He's in the building I used to live in. Any history of forest fires in the coffee region? No. I mean, it rains every day. As a matter of fact, I didn't do my weather report. It's bright and sunny right now, but it rained all night, and it didn't stop until the sun came up. It started raining some in the afternoon, a little bit here and there, but then it just rained all night long. I don't know if a day goes by, a 24-hour day, where there isn't rain involved. So having a forest fire is kind of difficult. I mean, if you went out with tinder and sticks and a match, I think it'd be difficult to set something on fire. So no, it's really not a thing here. Well, my juice is almost done, and our time is almost up. So, any last questions? Hdchillin. I see this was a while ago, but 21 minutes ago. But thank you. I appreciate that. Definitely appreciate it. We have and don't forget our Let's Go or Vamos Brandon t-shirts with the split American and Colombian flag. You can go to my website, click on merchandise, and there's 2 vendors. Choose the one that's on the left side of the page, and this is all the way at the bottom. I showed the olive drab last week. This is the red one. Okay. All right. Are we done? Is that it? I'm going to get to watch the Bills kick off. Okay. Well, I'm really excited to get that video out to you, even though I hate editing with a passion. But I'm going to work my way through it, do the best I can. I lose interest in editing real fast, but we'll get there. I've actually got about a third of it done. So So fingers crossed. All right, so we're going to end it here. Who is Brandon? Uh, it's become a thing in the U.S. Where, okay, it started at a college football game, and people in the crowd just started chanting "F you Biden," "F you," but they weren't saying "F you," and it grew and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then other football games, and then other venues, and it's kind of spread all over the place. I saw this one video where there were moms meeting up. There were 50 or 60 of them in this mall at a meeting, and they just kind of spontaneously broke into a "F you Biden" chant. And people are pissed off about gas prices and all the things that are going on in Afghanistan. And so it's just spread all across the country. Well, the interesting thing was, it was a NASCAR race recently, and they were interviewing the guy who won, whose name was Brandon. And in the background, the NASCAR fans were chanting "F you Biden." And I don't know if it was intentional or she just was clueless, but the lady who was interviewing this guy, she says, "Oh, listen, the fans are chanting you, 'Let's go, Brandon.'" And it was hilarious. It was hilarious. So, some people say she heard it in her earphone and told her to, kind of cover it up. But I don't know if that's the case or not. I know they got an earphone. I know they get information from the director, but that's what happened. And so that spread like wildfire. Everybody and their brother is selling these "Let's Go Brandon" t-shirts and hats now. And I just thought I'd put together a "Vamos Brandon," "Let's Go Brandon," just for kicks. So there's that. And I know we don't really talk about politics, but I'm not really talking about politics. I'm talking about this shirt and where it came from. And I don't care where you stand. It's got to be funny. You can watch the Bills there. Absolutely. I can watch it on Cody. No problem. Craig, politics. Yeah. Yes, but no. Great shirt. Thank you. That's great. I too was we went from 83 to, I was considerably before that. Ground support electrician, marine attachment supporting our aircraft deployments. Google search, "Let's Go Brandon." There's some hilarious things out there. Worst president ever. Okay. All right. Well, I don't want to. I really don't like to get into politics, but I just find that whole incident of how this "Let's Go Brandon" came out and how it kind of went viral. I just find it hilarious. Final question. Would you consider visiting Cuenca anytime soon? I would love to go back to visit Cuenca. I would love to do it over Christmas. For me, it's a couple things. It's hard to get away, but I could find time to go. But it's expensive for me. I don't have extra money for things like that, although I would love to. And I'd love to do it over Christmas because I've got friends there and I haven't seen them in quite a while, and I would love to go back and visit with them. And so would I consider it? Absolutely. I enjoyed my life there. I've said this many times. It's not for me. I think there's just way too many issues to deal with, but that doesn't mean it's not awesome in its own way. And it's certainly a place that is worth extended visits. But living there, that's another thing. Okay, so see you guys soon. Thanks for all you do.